Billionaire pretends to be poor to find a mother for his son, and the cleaner donates her entire salary. Emily Johnson didn't hesitate for a second when she saw the desperation in the eyes of the man sitting on the sidewalk of Mercy General Hospital. Her brown hair was tied in a simple bun, the blue cleaner uniform still damp with sweat from work, but none of that mattered at that moment. "Here, sir. It's my entire salary for this month," she said, extending the envelope with the crumpled bills. "Your boy needs the medicine now." The man looked at her in disbelief. He had just made up a story about not having money to buy allergy medication for his son, hoping to stir pity in someone passing by. But he never imagined a complete stranger would literally hand over everything she had. "Ma'am, I can't accept this," murmured Michael Thompson, completely disguising his true identity. What that woman didn't know was that he owned one of the largest technology companies in the country, with a fortune worth billions of dollars. "Yes, you can, and you will accept it," insisted Emily, forcing the envelope into his hands. "A child can't go without medicine because of money. This money will just sit in my hand, but in his it can save his life." The 6-year-old boy, Ethan, watched everything with big, curious eyes. He was a beautiful child, with blonde hair and blue eyes like his father, but there was a sadness in his gaze that deeply touched Emily's heart. "Daddy, who is the lady?" asked Ethan, hiding behind his father's legs. "A very good person, son," replied Michael, still processing the gesture. "Thank you so much, ma'am." Emily Johnson. And no need to thank me. Any mother would do the same." Her words echoed in Michael's mind. Any mother would do the same. But Ethan didn't have a mother. Jennifer had abandoned them both when the boy was just a baby, running off with another, even richer businessman. Since then, Michael had raised his son alone, but he realized something was missing in the boy's life. "Do you have children?" asked Michael, genuinely curious. Emily hesitated for a moment, a shadow of pain passing through her brown eyes. "I did," she said simply, without elaborating. In that instant, something shifted in Michael's chest. For weeks, he had been observing the activity around the hospital, studying people, trying to understand what it would be like to raise Ethan in a simpler, more genuine environment. Patricia's betrayal had left deep scars on him. How could he trust again? How could he know if someone would love him for who he was and not for what he had? That's when he got an idea. A risky idea, perhaps even cruel, but one that could give him the answers he was looking for. "Mrs. Emily, do you work here at the hospital?" he asked. "Yes, I do. I've been a cleaner for 3 years. I started on the graveyard shift, but now I'm on the afternoon one." "And do you always eat lunch out here on the street?" "No, today was different. My mother is a patient on the 3rd floor. I came to visit her on my break and saw you here," explained Emily, checking the time on her simple cell phone. "In fact, I need to get back. My boss doesn't like it when we're late." She crouched down to Ethan's height. "You're going to be okay, all right? Daddy is going to buy your medicine and you'll get better real soon." Ethan smiled shyly and, to everyone's surprise, gave Emily a tight hug. "Thank you, Aunt Emily." "You're welcome, little one." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like the video and especially to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Emily walked away, waving to the two of them, not imagining that this chance meeting would change her life forever. Michael stood still, holding the envelope with her money, watching as she entered through the hospital doors. "Daddy, I liked Aunt Emily," said Ethan, swinging his little legs. "Me too, son. Me too." That night, Michael couldn't get the scene out of his head. He arrived at his mansion in Beverly Hills, looked at Ethan's luxurious room filled with expensive toys, and felt a strange emptiness. The boy had everything money could buy, but he didn't have what he needed most, a genuine mother figure. In the following days, Michael started researching Emily. He discreetly hired a private investigator and discovered she was a widow, living in a simple apartment on the outskirts of New York City with her sick mother, and that she had indeed lost a son years before. A traffic accident had taken her 5-year-old boy, and since then she had dedicated her life to work and caring for her mother. The information touched Michael deeply. Now he understood the pain in her eyes, the loving way she had treated Ethan. She was a woman who knew loss, who had lost everything she loved most, but was still able to give everything she had to a stranger. 2 weeks later, Michael put his plan into action. He rented a simple apartment in the same neighborhood where Emily lived, bought old clothes, a used car, and started building a new identity. To the world, he would be Michael Johnson, an unemployed insurance agent raising his son alone. Robert, his driver and trusted man for over 10 years, questioned the decision. "Dr. Michael, with all due respect, but this isn't right. Mom deserves to know the truth. Robert, I need to be sure. I need to know if there's someone capable of loving my son for who he is, not for what I have. Jennifer taught me that money attracts interest, not love. But deceiving a good person, I won't hurt her. I just want to observe, understand. If she really is special, I'll tell her the truth." Robert shook his head, worried, but couldn't dissuade his boss. He had known Michael for years, knew the pain he carried since his ex-wife abandoned him. The man had become distrustful, closed off, focusing all his attention on business and his son. The following Monday, Michael and Ethan were waiting at the hospital exit when Emily finished her shift. The boy ran to her. "Aunt Emily! Aunt Emily!" "Ethan!" she exclaimed, kneeling to hug him. "How are you, dear?" "Better. The medicine worked. Daddy said it was because of you." Michael approached, wearing a worn-out shirt and faded jeans. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Emily. I wanted to thank you again for what you did. Ethan hasn't stopped talking about you." "Hi, Michael," she said, smiling. "It's so good to see you both. How's the situation?" "Still tough, but we're managing. I'm looking for work." "And where do you live?" "Nearby, in Williamsburg," he lied, using the name of the neighborhood where he had rented the apartment. "Really? I live near there too. Ethan, do you want to walk with me to the bakery? I need to buy bread for dinner." The boy's eyes lit up. "Can I, Daddy?" Michael pretended to hesitate. "If it's not a bother?" "Not at all. We'll walk slowly, talking." During the walk, Ethan held Emily's hand with a naturalness that surprised Michael. The boy, usually shy with strangers, talked animatedly about cartoons, school, and how he missed having a mother like the other boys. "Daddy said Mommy left when I was a baby," Ethan commented innocently. "But I don't remember her." Emily squeezed the small hand affectionately. "Sometimes people make choices we don't understand, Ethan. But what matters is that you have a daddy who loves you very much. That's true, but it would be cool to have a mommy too." Michael saw tears forming in Emily's eyes. "It would be, dear. It would be." That afternoon, Emily insisted they have dinner at her place. The apartment was small but cozy, with simple furniture and many plants. Mrs. Barbara, Emily's mother, was sitting in the living room armchair, connected to an oxygen machine. "Mom, these are the friends I told you about. Michael and Ethan." Mrs. Barbara smiled warmly. "Emily hasn't stopped talking about you. What a beautiful boy." Ethan approached without fear. "Are you sick, Ma'am?" "Just a little, dear, but I'm getting better." Michael watched everything carefully. The house was simple, almost poor, but there was genuine love in every gesture. Emily prepared a simple but tasty dinner, and Ethan ate with an appetite, something that rarely happened at home. "Aunt Emily, why don't you have children?" asked Ethan with the innocence of children. A heavy silence filled the room. Emily wiped her hands on her apron before answering. "I had a little boy, Ethan, but he became a little star in the sky." "Like me, his age?" "More or less. His name was Nathan." Ethan processed the information seriously. "Then you know what it's like to be a mother." "I do, dear, I do." That night, as they walked back to the rented apartment, Ethan wouldn't stop talking about Emily. "Daddy, Aunt Emily is really nice, and her food is delicious. Why don't we always have dinner there?" Michael felt a mix of guilt and hope. Emily was everything he had hoped to find: genuine, caring, simple. But the more time he spent with her, the harder it became to keep up the lie. In the following days, their meetings became frequent. Emily would meet them after work, always with some excuse to be nearby. She took Ethan to the playground, helped Michael with small tasks, and little by little became part of their routine. One afternoon, while Ethan played on the playground, Emily and Michael talked on a bench. "Michael, can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course." "Ethan's mother, do you still miss her?" Michael hesitated. It was a question that touched on still open wounds. "I feel anger more than missing her. She abandoned us when Ethan needed her most. I found out she'd been with another man for months. I'm so sorry. That must have been very difficult." The worst part was seeing Ethan asking for her in the first few months. He was very little, but he felt the absence. Emily gently touched his arm. "But look how well he's growing up. You're a wonderful father." Michael felt a tightness in his chest. Her words were sincere, but based on a giant lie he had created. "And you, Emily, does it still hurt to talk about Nathan?" She took a deep breath. "Every day. But meeting you has helped me remember that I can still love. I can still care for someone." At that moment, Ethan ran up to them. "Aunt Emily, can you be my mom?" he asked, with the disarming simplicity of children. Emily knelt down to his level, her eyes watery. "Ethan, being your mom would be the most beautiful thing in the world. But these things are complicated." "It doesn't have to be complicated. Daddy likes you, I like you, and you like us. That's it." Michael quickly stood up, pretending to check the time. "Ethan, it's getting late. Let's go home." But the boy's words kept echoing in the minds of all three. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He was falling in love with Emily, and it was mutual. He could see it in her eyes, in the way she looked at him, how she cared for Ethan. But how to tell the truth now? How to explain that he was a billionaire pretending to be poor? Meanwhile, Emily was also confused. She felt something special for Michael, different from anything she had felt since her husband's passing. And Ethan had filled a void in her heart that she thought was impossible to fill. The situation got complicated when, the following week, Emily received the news that she would be fired from the hospital. Budget cuts had reduced the staff, and she was among those let go. "But I need this job," she pleaded with her supervisor, Deborah Miller. "My mother depends on my health insurance." "I'm sorry, Emily. The decision has already been made. You have until the end of the month." With eyes full of tears, Emily left the administration room and went to work as if nothing had happened. She couldn't tell her mother, not yet. But during lunch, when she met Michael and Ethan, she couldn't hide her sadness. "What happened?" asked Michael, concerned. "Problems at work," she said, trying to smile. "But it will all work out." Ethan noticed something was wrong. "Aunt Emily is sad. Daddy, do something." "Ethan is right. What can I do to help?" Emily shook her head. "Nothing, Michael. Some problems we have to solve on our own." But Michael couldn't accept that answer. That same afternoon, he called Robert. "I want you to make an anonymous donation to Mercy General Hospital. $1 million on the condition that they keep all the cleaning staff." "Sir, that might draw attention. Find a discreet way. Use a shell company, a foundation, anything. But I want it done today." The next day, Deborah Miller called Emily into her office again. "Emily, there's been a change. An anonymous donation came to the hospital with the condition to keep the staff. You won't be fired anymore." Emily couldn't hold back her tears of relief. "Really? But who would do such a thing?" "We don't know. It was a conditional donation made through a consulting firm. Someone up there must have a very good heart." When Emily told Michael the news, he pretended to be surprised. "How amazing. Sometimes angels appear in our lives when we least expect them." "It's true. You know, I have a strange feeling that you brought luck into my life." "Why? I can't explain it. Since I met you, things started working out." Michael felt the weight of guilt once again. He was manipulating her life, even with good intentions. The weeks passed and the relationship between the three deepened. Emily started having lunch with them every day. Ethan called her Mommy Emily when he was distracted. And Michael found himself genuinely in love with a woman who believed he was practically homeless. One day, during a walk in the park, Ethan hurt his knee falling off his bike. It was nothing serious, just a scrape, but Emily reacted with the protective instinct of a real mother. "My God, Ethan. Come here, let Mommy see," she said, not realizing she had referred to herself as his mother. Michael watched as she carefully cleaned the wound, blew on it to ease the pain, and comforted the boy with kind words. In that moment, he was sure Emily truly loved Ethan, not out of interest or pity, but with genuine, maternal love. "There, warrior. Now let's get you some ice cream to make you feel better." "You're the best mom in the world," said Ethan, hugging her. Emily looked at Michael, a little embarrassed. "Sorry, No need to apologize. Ethan is right. You take care of him better than many biological mothers." That afternoon, walking through the neighborhood streets, Michael made a decision. He would tell Emily the truth. He couldn't live that lie anymore, not when his feelings were so real. But fate had other plans. As they passed by an electronics store, the television in the window showed a report about Michael's company. His picture appeared on the screen as CEO of the year, and a passerby commented loudly, "Wow, what a handsome man. A billionaire and single. It must be hard to find someone who likes him for who he is, not for his money." Michael froze, but Emily was distracted, helping Ethan tie his shoes. She almost missed the news report. But the woman's comment echoed in her mind. It must be hard to find someone who likes him for who he is. That was exactly what he was trying to find out. That night, alone in his rented apartment, Michael called Robert. "Doctor, you need to stop this charade. The woman is falling in love with someone who doesn't exist. But she is falling for me, Robert, for the person I am when I'm with her. But it's based on a huge lie. Just one more week. I just need one more week to be absolutely sure." Meanwhile, Emily was talking with her mother at home. "Mom, I think I'm falling for Michael." Mrs. Barbara smiled. "I noticed, dear, and he's falling for you too. Just look at how he watches you." "But it's also complicated. He doesn't have a steady job. He's struggling. Money isn't everything, Emily. Your father didn't have much when we met, but he was the most honest and caring man I knew." "That's true. And Ethan? Mom, I love that boy as if he were my own son." "Then follow your heart. You can build a beautiful family even with little money." Emily smiled, imagining a simple but happy future with Michael and Ethan. The next day, something unexpected happened. Dr. Richard Williams, one of the richest doctors at the hospital, approached Emily during her shift. "Emily, do you have a minute?" "Of course, doctor." "I want to make you an offer. I need someone to take care of my house, cook, keep my elderly mother company. I'll pay 3 times what you make here." "Wow, doctor, that's a tempting offer, but I like what I do here." Dr. Richard moved closer, invading her personal space. "Think about it, Emily. A beautiful woman like you shouldn't be cleaning bathrooms. I can offer much more comfort." The suggestive tone of the offer made Emily step back. "Thank you for the offer, doctor, but I'm not interested." "Don't be foolish. Think of your sick mother. Think of the future." "I already said no." Dr. Richard didn't like the refusal. "We'll see if you don't change your mind when times get tough." Emily walked away with a bitter taste in her mouth. During lunch, she told Michael about the indecent proposal. "What kind of man makes an offer like that?" said Michael, feeling genuine anger. "Does he think he can buy anyone? There are many men like that in the world. They think money solves everything." "Well, he's very mistaken. Character can't be bought." Emily smiled, touched by his indignation. "That's why I like you, Michael. You understand there are things more important than money." Her words were like a dagger to Michael's heart. He was being exactly the type of person she despised, someone using the power of money to manipulate the situation. A week later, Mrs. Barbara's condition worsened. Pneumonia brought her back to the hospital, and the doctors were clear. She needed an expensive, specialized treatment. "Doctor, how much does the treatment cost?" asked Emily, already knowing she couldn't pay. "It's $15,000, Emily, and the basic plan doesn't cover this type of procedure." Emily left the office desperate. Where would she get that much money? It was then that she remembered Dr. Richard's offer. Maybe it was the only option. That afternoon, she didn't show up for lunch with Michael and Ethan. Worried, he went looking for her at the hospital and found her crying in the bathroom. "Emily, what happened?" My mother needs an expensive treatment. I can't pay for it. How much do you need? $15,000. It's a fortune to me. Michael had to control himself to not say he would fix everything immediately. We'll find a way. I can try to get a loan. Michael, you barely have money for food. I can't ask that of you. Then what will you do? Emily hesitated before answering. Dr. Richard said his proposal still stands. No. Michael's reaction was more intense than expected from a man with no means. You can't subject yourself to that. And let my mother suffer. That night, Michael called Robert. I need you to run an anonymous fundraising campaign for Mrs. Barbara Johnson. Say it's a hospital solidarity chain. Dr. Michael, just do it, Robert. And this time be more creative. It can't look like it came from just one person. 2 days later, Deborah Miller approached Emily. Emily, something amazing happened. The hospital staff organized a campaign to help your mother. They managed to raise $15,000. Emily couldn't believe it. What do you mean? A solidarity chain. Every employee contributed a little. Doctors, nurses, cleaning staff, everyone helped. But how did they know? Someone spread the news about your mother's situation. You're very well liked here, Emily. Crying with emotion, Emily ran to tell Michael. Can you believe it? The people at the hospital organized a campaign to help my mother. How wonderful, see? When we do good, it comes back to us. Yes, you're right. It must have been karma for helping you that day. Once again, Michael felt the weight of the lie. With his mother out of danger, Emily could dedicate more time to Michael and Ethan. Weekends became special, with simple outings full of affection. Ethan was visibly happier, more confident, and called Emily Mom without any embarrassment. One Saturday, while Ethan played on the playground, Michael gathered his courage. Emily, I need to tell you something. Go ahead. He took a deep breath, ready to reveal everything, but at that moment, Ethan came running. Daddy, Mommy, Emily, there's a boy over there saying you're dating. And what did you say? Asked Emily, laughing. That not yet, but that I really want you to be. The two adults looked at each other, and Michael lost the courage to tell the truth at that moment. Later, walking through the neighborhood streets, they passed by a jewelry store. Ethan stopped at the window. Daddy, when are you going to ask Mommy Emily to marry you? Ethan! Michael turned red. It's just that at my friend Tyler's school, his dad gave his stepmom a ring, and now they're married and happy. Emily knelt beside him. Ethan, these things are complicated. Why do adults always say things are complicated? You like each other. I like both of you. Grandma Barbara likes you. Where's the complication? That night, alone, Michael made a final decision. He would buy a ring and ask Emily to marry him. Afterwards, he would tell her the whole truth. If she truly loved him, they could overcome the initial lie. The next day, he went to the most expensive jewelry store in New York City and chose a diamond ring that cost more than Emily earned in 5 years. But then he changed his mind. That didn't match the image he had created. He exchanged it for a simple silver band, the kind a man in financial difficulty could buy with great effort. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The perfect occasion arose the following week. It was Ethan's birthday, and Emily had offered to throw a simple party at her apartment. Mrs. Barbara was already home, recovered, and was excited about the idea. Emily, that boy needs a real party, said Mrs. Barbara, and you two need to stop dragging your feet. Mom, what? It's obvious you love each other. I can't wait to have a grandchild to raise. On the afternoon of the birthday, Emily decorated the room with colorful balloons and baked a homemade chocolate cake, Ethan's favorite. Michael brought a simple gift that the boy loved, a puzzle. Mommy Emily made the best cake in the world, said Ethan, smearing chocolate all over his face. I completely agree, said Michael, looking into her eyes intensely. After Ethan went to play with the other children from the building that Emily had invited, the adults stayed talking in the kitchen. Michael, can I ask you a question? Of course. Have you ever thought about... Wow, what a silly question. Never mind. Go ahead, Emily. You can ask me anything. Have you ever thought about the possibility of us, being together for real? Michael's heart raced. Every day. Really? Emily, He began to take the little box out of his pocket, but was interrupted by the sound of Ethan running down the stairs. Daddy, Mommy Emily, come see what happened. The two ran after him and saw that one of the children had gotten hurt. Emily immediately provided first aid, once again demonstrating her maternal and careful instinct. There, Nathan, it stopped bleeding. Now you need to clean it well at home and put on some ointment. Thank you, Aunt Emily. You're almost a nurse. After the children left, Ethan was euphoric. It was the best party of my life. Thank you, Mommy Emily. You're welcome, my love. It was a pleasure. Daddy, now can you ask her to marry you? Michael and Emily looked at each other, laughing nervously. Ethan, I've told you these things. Are complicated, I know, but look. The boy pulled a drawing from his pocket. It was a family, a man, a woman, a child, and an elderly lady, all holding hands under a rainbow. I made this drawing for you. This is our family. Emily held the drawing with tears in her eyes. It's beautiful, Ethan. So, can it be our real family? It was at that moment that Michael knelt down, taking the little box out of his pocket. Emily Johnson, will you marry me? Silence filled the room. Emily looked at the ring, at Michael kneeling, at Ethan jumping for joy, unable to process what was happening. Michael, I know I'm not the richest man in the world. I know I can't give you luxuries, but I can give you true love and a family that loves you more than anything. Say yes, Mommy Emily, say yes, shouted Ethan. Emily knelt down to Michael's level. Yes, yes, I will marry you. The kiss that followed was watched by Ethan, who was clapping, and by Mrs. Barbara, who was watching from the doorway with tears in her eyes. Now we're a real family, shouted Ethan, throwing himself into the middle of the hug. That night, after putting Ethan to sleep on the couch, he had insisted on staying to celebrate more, Michael and Emily talked on the apartment balcony. I can't believe this is happening, said Emily, admiring the ring on her finger. Having second thoughts? Never. It's just, everything happened so fast. A few months ago, I was a lonely woman with no prospects. Now I have a family. And I have the woman I always dreamed of to be Ethan's mother. Michael, I need to tell you something. Since Nathan passed away, I thought I could never love a child again. But Ethan, he healed a wound in my heart that I thought would never heal. And he loves you like he's never loved anyone. Since he was little, he's been asking about having a mother. And now he will have one. Forever. They kissed again, sealing not only their commitment to each other, but the promise of a family built on love and overcoming. But Michael knew he still had a giant obstacle ahead, telling the truth about who he really was. The following week, they began making plans for the wedding. It would be something simple at the neighborhood church with a small reception at Emily's house. Ethan was involved in all the preparations, suggesting colors, music, and especially the menu. I want there to be chocolate cake and brigadeiro and beijinho and everything that Mommy Emily knows how to make. Easy there, champ, laughed Emily. We'll have a beautiful party, but within what we can afford. That's when Michael realized he needed to tell the truth before the wedding. He couldn't let Emily plan a simple party when he could pay for the best of everything. But how to explain it now? He decided he would tell her the next day. He would take Emily out to dinner and reveal everything, asking for forgiveness and explaining his motivations. But once again, fate intervened. That afternoon, while waiting for Emily outside the hospital, Michael was recognized by an old college friend. Michael Thompson? I can't believe it. What a coincidence. Michael froze. Brian Wilson was approaching with a big smile, clearly not realizing anything was wrong. Brian, hi. Man, you disappeared off the face of the earth. Ever since you became the tech king, you don't show up to any of the class reunions. Yeah, I've been busy. I bet. I read in the magazine that your company is worth over $2 billion now. You must be swimming in money. Michael tried to make signals for Brian to stop talking, but it was too late. Emily had just come out of the hospital and was approaching. "Michael?" she called, puzzled to see him talking with a well-dressed man. Brian turned around. "Whoa, aren't you going to introduce me to your girlfriend?" Michael wished the ground would open up and swallow him. "Brian, this is Emily. Emily, Brian, an acquaintance." "Pleasure, Emily." "Wow, Michael, you lucky guy. A beautiful woman like this with the richest man in New York City." Emily felt as if she'd been punched in the stomach. "What do you mean, richest?" Brian finally realized something was wrong and tried to correct himself. Well, I was joking." "No, wait." Emily stepped closer to Michael, studying his face. "What is he talking about?" "Emily, I can explain." "Explain what? That you're rich? That you lied to me?" Brian tried to discreetly back away, realizing he had caused a huge problem. I think I better get going." "No!" Emily stopped him. "Tell me what you know about Michael." "Emily, please," begged Michael. Michael owns HealthWave Innovations, one of the biggest medical technology companies in the country. He's a billionaire." Emily's world collapsed. Billionaire. The word echoed in her mind as she looked at the man she thought she knew. "Is it true?" she asked, her voice trembling. Michael took a deep breath. There was no more running away. "Yes, it's true." The slap she gave him echoed down the street. Several people stopped to look. "You lied to me. About everything." "Emily, let me explain." "Explain. You deceived me for months. You pretended to be poor, pretended to need help, pretended that—" Tears began to stream down her face. "Why? Why did you do this to me?" "Because I needed to know if you would love me for who I am, not for what I have. And you thought the best way to find that out was by lying. My ex-wife left me for another richer man. I wanted to be sure. So you used me and Ethan as guinea pigs for your psychological experiment. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that," she shouted, drawing more attention. "You played with my feelings, with the love I have for Ethan, with everything." Michael tried to touch her, but she pulled away. "Emily, please, no, don't touch me. You're just like all the other rich people who look down on people like me. You think you can buy anything, including feelings. You're wrong. I fell in love with you for real. In love with a poor wretch you could manipulate." She took the engagement ring off her finger and threw it on the ground. "I don't want to see you or Ethan anymore. It's over." "Emily, don't do this. Ethan needs you. Ethan has a billionaire father. He can buy all the love he needs." And she ran off, leaving Michael standing on the sidewalk, holding the ring on the ground, with Brian still trying to understand what had happened. "Michael, man, I didn't know that." "Just go away, Brian, just go away." That night, Ethan realized something was wrong. "Daddy, why didn't Mommy Emily come to dinner with us?" She's busy, son. But she always makes time for us. Did something happen?" Michael didn't know how to respond. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that he had destroyed their only chance at happiness? "Ethan, I need to tell you something. Mommy Emily found out that Daddy lied to her about some things." "What kind of lies?" "About our money, about where we live, about who Daddy really is." Ethan processed the information with the seriousness only children can muster. "You lied that we were poor?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I wanted to be sure she liked us for real." "But Daddy, she gave us all her money on the very first day. Of course she likes us for real." The innocence of Ethan's observation was like a dagger to Michael's heart. "Yes, son, Daddy was really stupid. And now, is she not going to be my mommy anymore?" Michael hugged his son, feeling his own tears. "I don't know, Ethan, I don't know." In the following days, Ethan fell into a deep depression. He stopped eating, didn't want to play, and cried, asking for Mommy Emily. Michael tried to explain, tried to distract him with expensive toys and outings, but nothing worked. "I want Mommy Emily," Ethan would cry every night before bed. Michael didn't know what to do anymore. He passed by the hospital several times hoping to see Emily, but she always avoided coming out when he was around. One of her co-workers even approached him. "Sir, Emily asked me to tell you she doesn't want to see you anymore. Please stop coming here." "How is she?" The woman hesitated before answering. Destroyed. She cries every day. The information made Michael feel even worse. He had deeply hurt the woman he loved, and it was also destroying his son. A week later, Mrs. Barbara showed up at the front desk of the building where Michael had rented the apartment. Robert, who was visiting, saw her first. "Dr. Michael, there's a lady at the front desk asking for you." "Mrs. Barbara." Michael rushed to meet her. "You," she said with a coldness he had never seen before. "I need to talk to you." They went up to the apartment, and Mrs. Barbara didn't waste any time. "My daughter is destroyed. She doesn't eat. She doesn't sleep. She just cries." "Mrs. Barbara, I can explain." "I don't want your explanations. I want you to understand what you've done." She stepped closer to him, and Michael could see the anger and pain in her eyes. "Emily lost a son, young man. The pain of losing Nathan almost killed her. She spent years rebuilding herself, closing herself off to love, protecting herself from more suffering." "I know that." "You know nothing," she interrupted him. "When she met you, she allowed herself to love again. Not just you, but especially Ethan. She opened her heart after years, believed she had found a family." Tears began to stream down Mrs. Barbara's face. "And you destroyed that. You made her feel like a fool, like someone who can be deceived and manipulated. That wasn't the intention. But that's what happened. She feels humiliated, used, betrayed. And all for what? Because you can't trust people?" Michael sat on the couch, devastated. "Mrs. Barbara, I love your daughter, and I love Ethan more than my own life. I never meant to hurt anyone. But you did. And now Ethan is doing poorly, stopping eating, crying for the mommy he might have had, and lost. What can I do? How can I fix this?" "I don't know if it can be fixed, young man. A broken trust is like a cracked vase. You can glue it back together, but it will never be the same." Mrs. Barbara stood up to leave, but stopped at the door. "I'll just say one thing. If you truly love my daughter and that little boy, you'll find a way to prove it. Not with money, not with expensive gifts, with truth, with humility, with genuine love." And she left, leaving Michael alone with his thoughts. That night, Michael made a decision. He would go to Emily's house and do whatever it took to earn her forgiveness. Not as a billionaire, but as a man who had made a terrible mistake and wanted to make amends. The next morning, he was at her doorstep at 6 a.m., just as she was leaving for work. Emily saw him and tried to go back inside, but he knelt on the sidewalk. "Emily, please just hear me out once. I have nothing to say to you. Then just listen. After that, if you want, I'll never show up in your life again." She hesitated, glancing at the neighbors who were starting to appear at their windows. 5 minutes. No more than that. "Emily, I know I made the worst mistake of my life. I know I hurt you in a way that may be unforgivable. Go on. When Jennifer left me for a richer man, I thought I could never trust anyone again. I thought everyone only wanted my money. And you thought I was like her. No, exactly the opposite. From the very first day I saw you were special. That's why I wanted to be sure. By lying to me. I was scared. Scared of falling in love again and being betrayed again." Emily shook her head. "You don't understand, Michael. The problem isn't that you're rich. The problem is that you lied. You made me look like a fool." "You're not a fool. You're the most amazing woman I've ever met." "Who you made a fool of, then? You made me believe you needed help. You made me give you my entire paycheck. And it was the most beautiful thing anyone has ever done for me. That's when I knew I had found someone special. But based on a lie." Michael lowered his head. "You're right, and I will regret it for the rest of my life." "The 5 minutes are up." She started to walk away, but he shouted, "Ethan stopped eating. He cries every day asking for you." Emily stopped but didn't turn around. "He needs you, Emily, not me, you. You can hate me, you can never forgive me, but don't abandon Ethan. He loves you like he's never loved anyone. Ethan has you, and you have enough money to give him everything. Except what he needs most, a mother who truly loves him. I thought I had found that. And you did. The love you feel for Ethan is real. It has nothing to do with my lies." Emily turned around, tears in her eyes. "I can't separate the two, Michael. Every time I think of Ethan, I think of your betrayal. Then give me a chance to fix this. There's no fixing what you did." And she got on the bus, leaving Michael standing in the street. The days passed, and Ethan's condition only worsened. The boy had lost weight, didn't want to go to school, and spent his afternoons crying in his room. Michael was desperate. "Robert, I don't know what to do anymore. My son is wasting away." "Sir, you need to find a way to win Emily back." "But how? She won't even listen to me." "Have you thought about going to her workplace? She asked me not to show up there. What if it were done differently, in a way that showed how much you've regretted it?" Robert had an idea, but he knew it would be risky. "Sir, are you willing to publicly humble yourself to win back your family?" "I would do anything." "Then I have a proposal." The next day was the anniversary of Mercy General Hospital. All the employees were gathered in the courtyard for a celebration. Emily was there trying to pretend she was okay, but everyone could see she wasn't the same anymore. Suddenly, a sound truck stopped in front of the hospital. To everyone's surprise, Michael got out of the truck holding Ethan in his arms and a microphone in his hand. "Attention, Mercy General Hospital staff," his voice echoed through the courtyard. Everyone stopped to look, including Emily, who turned red with embarrassment. "My name is Michael Thompson, and I want to publicly apologize to the most wonderful woman in the world." "Daddy, it's Mommy Emily," shouted Ethan, waving. Emily tried to hide behind her colleagues, but they all pushed her forward. "Emily Johnson, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I lied to you because I was afraid to trust again." People began to gather to watch the spectacle. "But you showed me that true love exists. You donated your entire salary to me and Ethan on the very first day we met." Someone in the crowd shouted, "It's true, I saw it." "You took care of Ethan as if he were your own son. You truly loved him without any ulterior motives." "Mommy Emily," cried Ethan into the microphone, "I miss you." Tears began to stream down Emily's face. "Emily, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but Ethan deserves to have the mother he always dreamed of." "We want you back," shouted Ethan. The crowd began to get emotional. Some nurses were crying, and even some doctors seemed moved. "I'll give up all my money if I have to. I can live like a real poor person, but I can't live without you and without seeing my son happy." Dr. Richard, who was watching the scene, approached Emily. "Go on, Emily. The man is publicly humiliating himself for you. That has to count for something." "Emily!" shouted someone in the crowd. "Give him a chance!" "Yes, give him a chance!" others shouted. Slowly, Emily approached the sound truck. Michael got down, still holding Ethan. "You humiliated me in front of everyone," she said, her voice choked. "And now I've humiliated myself in front of everyone too. Are we even?" Despite the pain, she almost smiled. "Mommy Emily," said Ethan, stretching out his little arms. "Are you coming home?" Emily looked at the skinny boy, at his red eyes from so much crying, and her heart broke. "Ethan, my love." She took him in her arms, and he clung to her as if he would never let go. "I missed you so much, Mommy." "Me too, my son, me too." The crowd began to applaud, moved by the scene. Michael approached slowly. "Emily, I don't deserve your forgiveness, but if you give me a chance, I'll spend the rest of my life proving that my love is true. How can I trust you again?" "I don't know, but I'm willing to do anything to win back your trust." "Anything?" "Anything." Emily thought for a moment. "Then let's start from scratch. From true scratch." "What do you mean?" "You're going to get rid of all this wealth. We'll live in a simple house, earn money honestly, raise Ethan like a normal family." Michael didn't hesitate for a second. "Done. Not so fast. I want you to prove you can live without luxuries, without perks, without power. I want to see if you love me when you have nothing left to impress anyone with. And if I succeed, then we'll talk about a second chance." The crowd erupted in applause. Deborah Miller, the supervisor, approached. "Emily, you can take the rest of the day off. And congratulations. I think you found a man who truly loves you." That day, Michael began to put his promise into practice. He sold the mansion, donated most of his fortune to charity, and kept only enough to buy a simple house and support the family modestly. Ethan was overjoyed to have his mommy Emily back, even though she hadn't officially returned to their lives yet. In the following weeks, Michael proved he was capable of working honestly. He opened a small computer repair shop in the neighborhood, fixing computers and cell phones. Emily watched him from afar, seeing him learn to live like an ordinary person. A month later, on a Saturday afternoon, she showed up at the shop with Ethan. "Hi, Daddy," shouted Ethan, running to hug Michael, whose hands were dirty with grease. "Ethan," Michael picked him up. "How are you, champ?" "Good. Mommy Emily brought me to see your shop." Michael looked at Emily, hopeful. "So, what do you think?" "I think you're doing well. Did you learn to change a tire?" "I did, and to cook too. I almost burned the house down 3 times, but I learned." She laughed for the first time in months. "And are you happy? Living like this?" "You know I am. It's different, it's harder, but there's a pleasure in achieving things through your own effort. And don't you miss the money?" "I miss you." Emily moved closer, studying his face. Michael looked different, thinner, with calloused hands, but there was a peace in his eyes she hadn't seen before. "Ethan, want to play outside for a little bit? I want to talk to your father." "Okay, but don't take too long, okay, Mummy?" After the boy went out, Emily sat in the chair in front of the counter. "Michael, I need to tell you something." "Go ahead." "These 2 months were the worst of my life, not because of the loss of money or the luxuries I didn't even know existed. It was because of the loss of the family." "Emily, let me finish. I loved you, I truly did. And that hasn't changed even with all the anger. And now I'm seeing that you've really changed, that you've learned to live without depending on money. I learned that family can't be bought. I learned that true love is priceless." Emily reached her hand across the counter. "Want to try again? For real this time, no lies." Michael held her hand. "With all my heart." "So," she took a small box from her pocket. "Will you marry me?" Michael looked surprised at the box. Inside was a simple silver wedding band. "You're proposing to me?" "I am. The right way this time. No lies, no fantasies, just love." "Yes," he shouted, making Ethan run back into the shop. "What happened? What happened?" "Mommy Emily asked Daddy to marry her," laughed Michael. "Really?" Ethan jumped for joy. "So now we're a real family?" "Forever," said Emily, hugging them both. 6 months later, they got married in a simple ceremony at the neighborhood church. Ethan was the ring bearer, wearing a little suit Emily had sewn. Mrs. Barbara, now recovered, was the matron of honor. The reception was at the very house they had bought together, a small house, but full of love. Michael had learned to barbecue, Emily prepared all the desserts, and Ethan greeted the guests with the joy of someone who finally had the complete family he had always dreamed of. "Everyone, I'd like to make a little toast," said Michael, raising a glass of soda. "To Emily, who taught me that true love is priceless, who showed me that family is built with care, not with money. And to Ethan," continued Emily, "who gave me back the joy of being a mother." "And to Grandma Barbara," said Ethan, "who made the best brigadeiros in the world." Everyone laughed and toasted, celebrating not just a wedding, but the birth of a family that had overcome lies, pain, and distrust to find true love. That night, after all the guests had left, the little family sat on the living room sofa, Ethan asleep on Emily's lap, Michael with his arm around them both. "You know what's most amazing?" said Emily. "What?" "If you hadn't lied to me, maybe we would never have truly gotten to know each other." "How so?" "If you had shown up as a billionaire, I would have been intimidated, thinking I wasn't on your level. I would never have approached you naturally. It's true, things happen the way they're meant to happen. And now? Now we're going to live happily ever after." Ethan stirred in Emily's lap, murmuring in his sleep, "Mommy, Daddy, family." The two looked at each other and smiled. They had found what truly mattered, a family built on true love, where money was just a detail, and what really counted was the affection they felt for one another. 10 years later, Michael still had his computer shop, which had grown and become a small family business. Emily had gone back to school and become a nurse, fulfilling a lifelong dream. Ethan, now 16 years old, helped at the shop in his spare time and called Emily Mom without any adjectives, because to him, she had always been his mother. The simple house had become a home full of memories, laughter, and above all, lots of love. And if anyone asked any of the three if they would trade that life for all the wealth in the world, the answer would be unanimous: never. Because they had learned that a true family isn't bought, it's built. One day at a time, one gesture at a time, one "I love you" at a time. End of story. So, what did you think of this story? Do you think Emily was right to give Michael a second chance, or should she have moved on? And you, have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose whether to trust someone again who let you down? Leave your opinion in the comments. And if you liked the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories like this one.